Hi. Okay, welcome back to another video. Today's topic is a little close to home. It is a life lesson that I had to learn over the span of a few years. Okay, let me preface this. I like to think of myself as a really good advice giver. You don't have to agree with me, but I do consider myself that. And throughout my life, like any friend that has came and asked me, I have tried to give them a solution to the best of my ability and help them work it out and talk it out, whatever the situation may be. And it has taken me such a long time to realize that you don't have to always give advice. Especially, there's a few types of people that you should not even be giving advice to over time. But sometimes it's best to keep your mouth shut and be. Just be. Okay. And I'm not talking about, oh, stop helping people. Like my friend came to me for advice and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, no, I don't want to give you advice. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's specific type of people that aren't ultimately asking you for your advice. No, it comes with this title of I want your advice, but they are not asking you for your advice. And recognizing that can be a little difficult, especially if you're a giving person. You're like, I just want to help this person. Like, I don't understand. Why can't I give them advice? Or like, you just get frustrated when they don't listen to your advice. There's people that will come to you and they'll sit you down and be like, okay, like I need to rant to you and I need to tell you something. Like, tell me your honest opinion. Reminder, they say, tell me your honest opinion. And they go and they say the story and they're like, yeah, this happened and this person did that and that person did this. And then you are sitting there and you're like, yeah, oh, like that was so bad. No, I agree. I understand why you're frustrated. I understand why you're upset. Okay, like this is what you can do. You should talk it out to them. You should have a conversation here. Like if you need help forming the phrases or the words to say to them, I can help you, because sometimes when you're in an overwhelming situation, you don't know what to say, and it is hard sometimes to confront people. So you're like, here, let me help you. You're taking time out of your day, your valuable time, and you're like, okay, like let me put my work aside no matter what it may be, and like, okay, you know. And I feel like this always happens where it's like you will put aside your work for helping a friend, and yeah, it's a good thing. You should be doing that. So you do this and then you start to tell them. And you can see that their mind is already made up. You can you can see it on their face that they don't want your advice. They didn't want a perspective. They didn't want like a unbiased perspective. They didn't want to sit here and be like, "No, like actually, like do you think I was wrong in any place?" They just want you to agree with everything they're saying. And like I'm not saying that person's a bad person, because there's been times where I've also felt like this, where I'm like, I just need you to agree with what I'm saying. But I feel like at the end of the day, that gets you nowhere, because if you're agreeing with what I'm saying, that doesn't fix the solution. That doesn't fix the problem. That actually increases the problem. It makes it worse. I feel like it especially sucks when they literally just wanted someone to hype them up. They wanted a cheerleader, but you don't want my advice. You actually don't want my perspective at all. You just wanted me to agree with everything you're saying, and that the minute I didn't agree with one statement, you're gonna argue with me and be like, but like this is this scenario, this is that scenario. What, like, you explained the scenario to me. I took my time to understand what was happening. I would have asked you if I was confused about something. Now I'm giving you my unbiased opinion. Sounds good. Like, I guess so. Get frustrated and then you're like, whatever. It's when you should back off and be like, yeah, no, like, sorry, I'm so sorry I decided to give you a good solution to your problem. There, especially the types of people that genuinely only want to talk about the problem. They only want to talk about the problem. They will never go towards the solution. They will never think of a solution. Their mindset is not to find the solution. Their mindset is to be a victim and talk about the problem again and again and again. What is the solution? I'm just saying, like, you can't be problem oriented. You have to be solution oriented. You have to sit there and be like, okay, this happened. What are my next steps? What am I going to do about what happened? And there's this specific group of people. Okay. And okay, let me preface this. When you give someone life advice, when someone comes to you with a genuine problem, whether it's family issues, friend issues, relationship issues, or whatever the problem may be, and it is something that is like you are offering your advice on, I think oftentimes people overlook the fact that you are that capable of giving someone that advice on it because you may or may not have been through something very similar. And this is when you have to realize that you are giving them advice in form of your experiences. That wisdom that is coming from you to them was probably because you had to swallow a really big fat moment experience of disappointment. You went through something and you have healed from there. You have not been the victim and you moved on and you said, yes, I'm going to channel this. And instead of being the victim, being the problem oriented person, I'm going to become the solution oriented person. And with that, I am going to now have this wisdom. You get this wisdom based on every single experience you have. And so when people don't value where your advice is coming from, for example, they'll come to you and they'll be like, oh, so and so did this, I don't know what to do about it. And then you're like, I think you should talk to this person about it because, that's not something right. A friend shouldn't do that. A partner shouldn't do that. You should talk to them about it. And then the next day they'll be with that person, ha ha he heing around. And then you're like, oh, like, I'm so happy, you talked to this person and like, I'm glad that you took my advice and like, see, maybe talking it out, like you understood. And they'll be like, no, I just chose to ignore it. And you're like, okay, like you can't say much in that because it's not your situation to say anything in. And then like a week later, that person comes up to you and is like, bro, so and so did this again. Like it's so annoying. It's so annoying. And you look over to that person, you're like, does this person know that you get annoyed by this? And they're like, no, like I just hoped it would get better. And I have to, confront them and talk to them. And they're like, yeah, but like what if the friendship ends, or but what if they think it's weird? And then you're like, okay, like, teach their own. And then a week later they'll come back to you and they'll rant about the same thing. And you're just like, you get annoyed with that person and you get frustrated because you're like, what are you ranting to me about? You want to hang out with them and you want to be buddy buddy with them, and then you're coming to me and complaining about them. One, you're ruining their image in front of me, but then you're also hanging out with them. You're essentially shit talking them. I think asking me for advice, and if I give you advice and you are like, yeah, I should confront this person, because if you just go to a friend and talk to them about someone else, you don't tell that person, you are essentially shit talking them. You just wanted to vent out your feelings and do nothing about it. And I'm not saying venting out or ranting is a bad thing, but I just think there's no need to go to a third person and like make them hate this person or make them dislike this person because of the action that they're doing to you, but you're acting so buddy buddy with them. And I think that's when I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm not gonna listen to this anymore. And like this is the pattern. You come to me, you complain about this person, then you go ha ha he he with them. Why are you telling me? I don't care. I do not care. I will offer you advice wherever I can. Yes. But you're essentially, it's not even a conversation. You're just telling me, complaining to me actually. And I'm not sitting here to listen to someone's complaints if it doesn't end with a solution or if it doesn't end with a proper outcome. Like, what are you just complaining to me about?